Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss movies and horror. Unfortunately, last week I just did not have the time at all to put up a video, so I'm really sorry for that, but just personal life got in the way. A lot of things going on, but I am back this week with a new video and we're here to talk about one of the newest horror movies that I have been able to see in the cinema here, and that is It Lives Inside.
It's coffee time.
I was really excited about this one because I was really curious to see how they were going to integrate the Indian mythology in this supernatural movie. I had heard good things. I don't particularly look into reviews or anything before I go into a movie, but sometimes you see people posting or reposting saying, oh, this movie was great, or, this one is worth your time or whatever. So I was seeing people excited about it and talking about it, and I'm here today to let you know, as always, all my thoughts is spoiler free. This is an American supernatural horror film directed by Vishal Dutta, and this is the director's debut as well. And he wanted to bring some Indian mythology into horror, and that is something that I always love to see, as I've mentioned, and it always excites me because there is potential there to get something a little bit new, a little bit fresh. And yeah, I went to see it, and let's talk about now the plot, the characters, and everything down to the horror. Sam is desperate to fit in at school, and she decides to reject her East Indian culture and family to be like everyone else. However, when a mythological demon spirit latches onto her former best friend, she must come to terms with her heritage to defeat it. Our main character is a smart, popular girl called Samida, but she has decided that she wants to be called Sam. And that is one of the things that you're going to see in the movie that let you know that she is trying to put some distance between her and her Indian culture. She doesn't really want to be the Indian girl, and there are little things in the movie that let you understand this. At the very beginning, you see her having breakfast at home. Her mom is cooking these big meals, and when she is leaving for school, she quickly smells her clothes to see if they smell like Indian food, and she's very conscious about all of these things. And I did like to see those things done in a way where it didn't have to be explained. You kind of understand by her changing her name, by her smelling her clothes. It's kind of showing, not telling, and I did love to see that represented that way, and how for her, she just wants to fit in, she just wants to be popular, she doesn't want to be the different girl. Also going to school is her formerly best friend Tamira. They've been friends since they were kids. They were both coming from Indian families, and they played together, grew up together, were besties, until Sam decided that she wanted to just blend in and join the popular girls, and she has distanced herself from Tamira as well. And Tamira is going through a really rough patch. We're gonna see her go to school as if she has not slept in weeks and saying really weird things, which puts Sam in a very uncomfortable position because she almost feels like she should help her, but at the same time she just rather keep her protected popular life. You can see that Sam is distancing herself from her culture by changing her name, by not talking to her Indian friends. She barely speaks Hindu. She rather just hang out only with the white popular kids. You also are gonna see her kind of struggling to have a good relationship with her mother because her mother wants her to keep the traditions, to cook with her, and it's only when Tamira's life is really at risk that Sam is going to be forced to confront her heritage, to figure out more about her background and where all of these mythology is coming from in order to try to save her friend. When it comes to horror movies, I think that this is one that is going to be compared to the Babadook because we have in both cases some sort of entity that attaches to people that are going through a rough patch, that are not emotionally stable, and it feeds on the grief. In this case, we have here the Pisage, who is a mythical being from Hindu and Buddhist mythology, and it kind of speaks to the universality of how loneliness can wrap the brain. Things that I did not enjoy so much is that there is not much police representation in this film, in the sense that there's a kid from school that goes missing and you don't see like a full-on investigation. There doesn't seem to be such a fuss about trying to find this person. I get that the director wanted to focus on Sam and she being the one that is trying to figure out how to help the missing person, but I just feel like it was a little bit unrealistic, that it almost seems like everything is moving on like nothing has ever happened. And the police and detectives, there's nothing, no mention of the investigation or anything. So that felt a little bit weird to me. But the movie is relatable in a way because we have a coming of age story. We have Sam trying to figure out who she is, who she wants to be. And even though she has decided to kind of leave her Indian culture and background behind to become popular, she's gonna have to face her culture and learn about it if she wants to make it out alive. So it is an interesting coming of age story. I think if you look at the plot and the script in general, it might feel a little bit like it's done before. It might feel generic. But because we do have all of those elements of Indian mythology, we do have all of that cultural background, and there are so many things that we, the audience, need to learn about it, that I think that's what keeps it interesting for us as an audience, because these are things and demons and forces and rituals and all of those things that we don't know about, so we are eager to learn about it and see how we can defeat it. And also, to be honest, the main concept is good and the acting was good. So, sometimes you don't need to have a super twisty, different story. You just need a solid story that works with good characters. And I do feel like you will get this in this film. When it comes to the cinematography, you can see that they do rely a lot on close-ups in order to bring tension to the scene, in order to be a little bit more like immersive. But there are a couple of times where, those typical horror scenes where they pull you and then they have to release you. And I think that sometimes it takes too long until you're released from that tension, and it doesn't have the same effect as if they would have been a little bit quicker in those moments, in my opinion, as a viewer. But I was quite happy with all of the different horror elements that the movie had to offer. I mean, in theory, there is nothing extremely new. You have the typical creature that hides in the closet, but when they did that scene where you see something is inside of a closet, I did feel the unsettling vibe of the scene. I could feel it. I think it's well executed. So again, even if you're not doing something fresh and new, as long as it's well executed and it works, I don't have anything against that at all. Those scenes in the closet with the sinister creature, they do bring a lot of tension, and the director decided to keep the monster mostly invisible for the film's first 2/3, and it actually worked really well to the film's favor. And also the demon itself, it's pretty well done, and they are using mostly practical effects. It's those typical moments in horror movies, is there something under the bed? Is there something inside of this closet? That we've seen done before 100 times, but they're still kind of intriguing. The moment you see someone in a bed and you have the feeling that there might be something underneath their bed, you are immediately like on guard. And those scenes, even though they're classics and like I said, is nothing new, but if they're well executed, they are very effective when it comes to the horror. My only complaint when it comes to the horror, I think it would be that the final battle that you always have in such a horror movie, I felt it dragged a little bit too much for me, for my personal taste. I feel like, of course, if you have an evil that needs to be defeated and it's an evil that seems undefeatable, I also don't expect you to solve it in 1 minute, okay? But I did feel at some point watching that end fight, so to say, that at some point I had enough. So that tells me that they dragged out that ending, like end battle a little bit too much for me. But I think this movie, for being a PG-13, actually was really strong in the horror, and I think it's a really good, solid, well executed PG-13 movie with good horror elements. I gave the movie a 2.5 out of 5, and I do recommend you guys to give it a shot, especially if you like this type of demon, like some sort of like mythical creature horror movies. It has all the good elements that the typical American movie with this kind of mythology has, but it gives it an Hindu twist, and it's gonna like give you information about a creature and the Indian culture, things that you didn't know about. And I think that's really interesting, at least for me as a viewer, because if I'm gonna get another movie about a creature, at least give me something that I have not seen done over and over again. And I think this movie did bring us that. You also get kind of like the theme of immigrants and second generations and what it means and how hard it is for them to kind of fit in school. Do they have to kind of leave behind their culture in order to fit in? Why do they think they have to change themselves in order to fit in American schools? Like, I did love all of that kind of commentary on that as well. So all in all, like I said, you guys, the movie didn't like blew me away, but I thought it was a very solid horror movie, so I do recommend you guys to go and give it a shot. Let me know, you guys, if you have been already able to watch the movie or if you are planning to. If there's any other new releases that you want me to check out, let me know in the comments down below, because I do have a lot of things on my list. I just don't know which ones to prioritize. So let me know down below if there is any specific movie or TV show you want me to review next. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!